Hi everyone, welcome to Korea Crafts. I'm Dali. Today we are going to make a Jogakbo of a freestyle. So freestyle Jogakbo, which we are going to use hemming stitch a lot. You remember hemming stitch or 감침질 in Korean. So I prepared certain cloths. So this is going to be the backing layer, backing cloth. This is 100% silk called oksa, and I already prepared certain squares of cloths so that we can arrange any way we like. So I prepared these two cloths, and just for fun, I'm going to connect these two cloths together to make the same size of this square, and by connecting these two cloths as well, maybe I'll put it like here. So at the end of the stitch, it's going to look like this or this. It really depends on how you want to create it. That's the beauty of making Jogakbo. So and on the edge, so once you're finished with the centerpiece with these colored cloths, we will close up the Jogakbo by connecting these four cloths around the centerpiece like so. So roughly something like this will be created at the end of our stitches. So first we want to make a square with these cloths first to the size of this or this. So this is 9 centimeters here and here. So 9 centimeter square, and this as well, the same size. So 9 centimeters each on all sides, and by connecting these two cloths, we want to have the 9 centimeter width and length of cloths, and this as well. So we'll be using 감침질 to connect these two cloths and these two as well. First, I'm going to connect these two cloths to make 9 centimeter square. So this cloth, the size of this cloth is 5 centimeters width and 9 centimeters length. And this one is 6 centimeters width and 9 centimeters length. So when you make a margin of 1 centimeter, it's going to reduce to 5 centimeters, and if you take the 1 centimeter margin of this cloth, and it'll give you 4 centimeters, so that when you combine these two cloths together, the total length is going to be 9 centimeters. So it's going to be a 9 centimeter square. So that's how you plan ahead, so that you everything measures up and you come up with a very nicely done Jogakbo. So first you want to take the presser as usual, and you want to make the margin of 1 centimeter to seam, and as we learned before, you put the cloth along the grid line of your pad, and you put the ruler right here and you press with the presser Hera like so, and it can be folded very easily. And I always would like to use the iron to press the cloths after I fold each of them to make the work much easier. And this one as well, you put this cloth along the grid line, and this gives you a 1 centimeter margin to seam, and you go back and forth like this, and you fold it. And you connect these two cloths with kamchimjil. Even though I like to use the iron before, before I start sewing, just to show you how it's done, and you connect these two folded cloths together like so. You take the needle and you start sewing the hemming stitch or kamchimjil. You can start from right here or underneath the folded cloth to hide it. Either way, it's going to be hidden with the other cloths later on. So don't worry too much about having the knot showing like this. And just make sure that each stitch is made very close to the edge, and make it as fine as possible. And be consistent, and don't pull the string too hard. So once you are done with connecting these two cloths, like these two, you will have two squares with 9 centimeter in width and length, so that the remaining squares, all 4 squares are identical in size, like these. So to make the sewing much easier, you want to, press with the iron on the each cloth, so that you can easily work on the Jogakbo. And the back side should look like this, and this. So maybe you want to pre-arrange it, arrange the squares, so that you want to have the final Jogakbo in your head, and that's really the joy of doing Jogakbo. Arranging the different colors like this, or I'll put the purple one right here, and maybe like so. Any way you like. Maybe I'll put it like this. And at the end of sewing these 4 squares, you always want to have the 1 centimeter margin to seam when you connect these 4 squares. So at the end, you will have 7 centimeter squares. So after everything's done, because you always want to take 1 centimeter margin from each side on the 4 sides. So at the end of everything, you will end up with a 7 centimeter square on all 4 squares. I connected these two cloths together. So on the back side, it should look like this. And I connected these two, like so. And then you want to take 1 centimeter margin along this line, and here as well, like this, and like this. And you want to connect these two, so that you can complete the centerpiece of Jogakbo using all kamchimjil, the hemming stitch. So you have the 2 pieces ready to be connected like this. And before connecting these 2 cloths, I iron them. So that it's nice and flat, like so. And so from time to time, you want to get rid of all the loose ends. I mean, you can do it after everything's finished, but that can be somewhat overwhelming. So I like to get rid of these loose ends, you know, whenever I feel like it. Like these, you know, and this is too much, and I don't want to see it hanging from the piece. So I think I want to arrange the cloths like this. And before, you know, sewing, I want to have these 2 cloths in place, so that while I do sewing, I don't want them to be out of the place like this. So what I do is to hold them together with silk pins. So for temporarily, I'm connecting these 2 cloths with silk pins, so that I can do the sewing, and even after sewing, everything is in line, because without these silk pins, the lines can be misplaced afterwards, and you don't want that to happen. And maybe, I mean, feel free to use the silk pins, as many, but not too many, but like here, like so. And you can start sewing from here, and as you go to the left, you can take out the silk pins and continue on sewing. I ironed the centerpiece around the edge, like so, so that the sewing becomes a lot easier. And I'm going to connect these 3 cloths together by taking, make sure you folded this side of the centerpiece by 1 centimeter margin, and also here as well 1 centimeter margin, so that we can connect the 2 cloths like this, and also this side as well. like this. So at the end of sewing, it's going to look like this. And later on, we are going to add these two cloths to finish up the front side of the Jogakbo. Okay, and we can start sewing. I'm going to take this side first, and of course, you know, it's always nice to use silk pins to hold these two cloths together. It just makes sewing a lot easier if you do this. It's just being cautious at all times can save you a lot of potential trouble later. Like this, and you can start sewing from here to there, and you do that on the other side as well. I connected these three pieces of cloths, and I want to now connect the sidelines, two pieces of cloths like this. So in order to make it nice and neat, we want to again use the silk pins to hold these pieces of cloths together like so, and maybe here as well. So that the sewing becomes a lot easier. And of course, you want to press each of the cloths with iron before you know, sewing. That makes the whole job a lot easier. And I'm going to take the thread and a needle and start sewing from here. Of course, again, I'm using kamchimje, the hemming stitch. So this piece of Jogakbo, I've been using kamchimje only, and later on, when I put the backing layer to the back side of this front of this piece of cloth, I'm going to use a hidden stitch to close up all the four sides. That's a new stitch that we learned earlier in the video, so we'll be using that. I finished up the front side of the Jogakbo like this. I ironed each of the four sides of the front side of the Jogakbo with a 1 centimeter margin on all of the four sides. And you want to take the backing layer, and you do the same thing. You fold each of the edge towards the inside with 1 centimeter margin on all of the 4 sides. And then you connect these 2 cloths by interlocking each corner like so. You see these? Like this. And here as well. So interlocking each corner of the Jogakbo. So I pressed each of the cloth with iron before connecting these 2 cloths, so that it makes the whole thing a lot easier. So these 2 cloths are well connected by interlocking each of the 4 corners. And then we are going to close up the 4 sides of the Jogakbo with invisible stitch or hidden stitch. Of course, you can close up all the 4 sides with hemming stitch as well. You have an option. You can do either the invisible or hidden stitch or hemming stitch on all of the 4 sides. I will start the invisible stitch or hidden stitch from this corner. It goes into this here, and you go over to the other side like so, and you go underneath the second layer of the cloth, and you come out this way, and you come over to the front side of the cloths, and you go underneath the folded side for about 5 millimeters or 6 millimeters, and you come out this way, and you see a very little trace of stitches right here, and this is why it's called hidden stitch. And again, you go over to the other side of the cloth, and you enter here, and you go for about 5 millimeters, and you come out, and you come over to the other side again and go underneath the folded side, and you come out right here, and so on. About 5 millimeters in distance. You see? Very little trace of stitches. And you do this until you close up all of the 4 sides, and you're done with your Jogakbo. I closed up all 4 sides with invisible stitch or hidden stitch. As you can see, the stitches are very hard to see. So of course you can use hemming stitch as well to close up the 4 sides. At this time I used a hidden stitch, so it's very invisible, and you have 2 choices to close up the 4 sides of Jogakbo. I hope you enjoyed making this piece of Jogakbo, and until I see you next time, enjoy!